Just because something is not going well does not mean that God is not in it and he has forsaken you. Yes, you've heard this all the time. It's a cliche, right? People always say, yeah, God puts you through the struggle and he's with you through the struggle. It's nice to think about it theoretically, but for me, it hadn't quite clicked until I started explaining it to someone else. So they are in a relationship. Like how it goes, people always have opinions about the person that you're in a relationship with. Some people think they're not the right person, and then some people have someone who they think is the right person for you. So the fact that people might not agree with you for certain reasons, and then that can make you easily think that they're not the right person. Sometimes those people can be your relatives. Now, the reason why this cannot solely be the fact that it is not God's will is because people have freedom of choice. What am I saying? I'm not just saying that just because people disagree with you means that you're right. What I am saying is just because people don't agree with you doesn't automatically mean that you're wrong and God is not in it. What made it really click for me is that God can protect you through the struggle, but he will not stop people from troubling you. If you pray for a house constantly, God will give you a house, but he's not going to guarantee that your neighbor is going to be a nice person. But then a lot of people start thinking that they're in the wrong house and it might not have been God's will because their neighbor is a horrible person, and how could God even let them near a neighbor like that? Which is not true. Why? Because God gave us all freedom of choice and he helps us to learn to love him, but we are still bad people. We are sinful people. So when our rough parts actually scrape against each other, we experience that discomfort and that negative energy and that hate from each other, not because God is causing it, but because God has a better plan for us. But we're still a bit too human to actually bring it out the way he wants to. Let me explain this further. Like I said, God can give you a house that you prayed for. But whether your neighbor chooses to listen to God is solely up to your neighbor. Now, if your neighbor tries to burn down your house, God will send angels to switch off the fire, if that's what he chooses to do. If he plans to plant thorn trees around your garden because it doesn't like you, God can cause those thorn trees to not germinate. But what you have to understand is that God will not stop the neighbor from attempting, because God has the law of freedom of choice. So when other people express their freedom of choice, do not take it as an absence of God's power. They're just expressing their freedom of choice if they choose to listen to God or not. So just because you're God's child doesn't mean that everyone is you are entitled to everyone's agreement and the easy flowing of things. So the next time you have something that you're planning or something that you feel God has put on your heart, when people don't agree with it or when it doesn't go well because of other people, do not automatically mean that God has forsaken you, because those people have freedom of choice whether or not they want to listen to God. But what you can be sure of is that God will take you through the struggle that you're going through. What really made this click for me was when I was thinking about it, to say, when two people get married, right? People think that if God is in it, things flow smoothly and everyone will get along, whether it's the family members, whether it's the two parties. But this is completely inaccurate, because God can bring two people together because he thinks they're good for one another, but those two people are still sinful people who don't always listen to God, who still choose to do their own thing, even if God would have them do another. Now, if these people listened to God 100% of the time, they wouldn't have any fights. But because people still have self that wants to be exalted, people still want to be above everyone, it then isn't God's will that they are fighting, but they are, because no two people could be the same. So just because people are disagreeing or things are not moving well does not necessarily prove God's absence. Rather, it proves human inefficiency and human sinfulness. But then God will take you through that and protect you, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen, because that would mean that God would have to control the mind of everyone that you meet so that they're nice to you and good to you. And then, of course, at the end of the day, God can't do that because he allows everyone to have freedom of choice. So when you meet with people who are agents of the evil one, even for a moment, and they cause you strife and difficulty, just know that they're just simple agents of the evil one. It doesn't mean that God is not there. It just means that you are also just experiencing what it is to live in a sinful world.